What do you think changed in the past 6 years for the public's attitude? As you mentioned, polls. If you look back 20 years ago, but even 6 years ago, and you look at the present day, it's extraordinary.
I think that's right. I think what happened was people began to listen. And I think to some extent we made a contribution in simply getting people to begin to focus on this issue. This is an issue that there really are not, in my view, two sides to. One of the things that I think I'm a pretty good lawyer is I'm pretty good at figuring out what the best argument is on the other side. So I can meet it, or fight it, or undermine it, sometimes obscure it. But to do that, you have to understand what the other side's argument is. And here, the other side doesn't really have a principled argument. They don't have any case law, they don't have any constitutional principle, they don't have any policy argument. What they have is a bumper sticker. It says, marriage is between a man and a woman, or God hates gays. Those aren't arguments, those aren't principles. Those are conclusions. I think they're wrong conclusions, but they're just conclusions. They don't tell you anything about analysis. And so, if you can get the American people that I think have basic senses of fairness, justice, common sense, you get the American people to focus on an issue like this, where there really isn't another side. And I think you can change people's hearts, you can change people's minds. I think the point that Ted made is absolutely critical, which is that you have a whole new generation of people who are growing up knowing a lot of people who are gay and lesbian, and knowing that they are gay and lesbian. I mean, when we grew up, there were a lot of people in our communities that were gay and lesbian, but we didn't know it because the discrimination was so brutal that it forced most of them to conceal their sexual identity. And so that you didn't know people who you knew were gay and lesbian. And when you don't know people, you can believe all kinds of false stereotypes about them. But when you get to know them, you know that they're just like everybody else. They're just people. And I think that the courage that people had over the last 4 and 5 decades of revealing their sexual orientation so that people could grow up knowing people that they knew had different sexual orientations. That's why 75% of the people under 30 favor marriage equality and have for the last 4 or 5 years. What you're seeing is a demographic wave coming. And what we're trying to do is persuade the older people and let this demographic wave just sweep over the country, because that's what's happening.